Let me tell you a story. Picture this. You decide to donate over $40 million of your own money to literally save humanity from a rogue AI apocalypse. You go out, you gather the absolute brightest minds on the planet, you fund all their research, and you build a nonprofit foundation purely for the good of the world. Sounds amazing, right? But then, you wake up a few years later, and you realize that the charity you built from the ground up has secretly morphed into this closed-off, profit-hungry machine heavily controlled by a massive tech giant. It honestly sounds like the plot of a sci-fi thriller, doesn't it? Well, buckle up because that is exactly the real-life drama playing out in a federal courtroom right now. So, what actually happens when a charity designed to save humanity suddenly becomes a trillion-dollar profit engine? Today, we're diving into a monumental legal battle that could completely redefine the tech industry as we know it. In this explainer, we're breaking down Elon Musk's massive 83-page lawsuit against Sam Altman and OpenAI. We'll look at the actual court documents, the witness testimonies, and the expert legal analysis to really understand this high-stakes clash. And don't worry, we're going to keep it simple, explaining all those complex legal claims like breach of contract and fraud in plain English. Section 1, the trillion-dollar betrayal. To really grasp how we ended up at a blockbuster trial in an Oakland federal courthouse, we got to rewind to the very beginning. Back in 2015, OpenAI was founded explicitly as a non-profit. The stated goal? To advance digital intelligence to benefit humanity, totally unconstrained by the need to make a financial return. From 2016 to 2020, Elon Musk was incredibly involved. He recruited top scientists like Dr. Ilya Sutskever from Google and poured millions into the project. But fast forward to 2023, and things had changed dramatically. OpenAI's most advanced model, GPT-4, became closed source. It got locked behind a paywall, and their partnership with Microsoft expanded massively. And it's exactly this massive pivot that led Musk to file his lawsuit. Now, a huge part of this story revolves around one very specific number, $44,811,795. According to the legal complaint, that is the exact amount of seed capital Elon Musk contributed to OpenAI. His legal team is arguing very fiercely that this was absolutely not an investment in some tech startup. They claim it was a charitable donation strictly meant to fund open-source, nonprofit AI development. And listen, Musk's legal complaint does not pull any punches. It literally states, the perfidy and deceit are of Shakespearean proportions. His entire narrative here is that Sam Altman used Musk's very real humanitarian concerns about AI as the hook for a massive bait and switch, basically taking Musk's money to build up a foundation only to ultimately hand the keys over to a commercial enterprise. Which brings us to Section 2, the core legal claims. So, how exactly does this intense feeling of betrayal translate into formal legal action? Well, Musk's attorneys, led by Mark Toberoff, filed a staggering 15 distinct legal counts against Altman, Greg Brockman, and a whole web of OpenAI corporate entities. It's a lot to take in. We're going to zero in on the main counts here, specifically the breach of contract and the fraud allegations, so we can understand exactly what is being argued. Right out of the gate, count number 1 is breach of contract. In plain English, Musk is arguing that Sam Altman broke their founding promise to keep the AI open source and nonprofit. But here's the really fascinating part about this. There isn't actually a single, formal, signed contract document that says this. Instead, Musk is relying on a string of informal emails from 2015, along with the company's certificate of incorporation, to prove that a binding agreement actually existed. Next up, we have claims of unfair competition and false advertising under both federal and California law. Putting the legal jargon aside, Musk is basically alleging that OpenAI used his name, his reputation, and his money under completely false pretenses. You know, Musk is pretty well known for his commitment to open technology. Just look at Tesla's open patents. Because of that reputation, he argues OpenAI harnessed his personal brand to recruit top-tier talent and secure funding, all while secretly plotting to build a closed-off profit engine in the background. Moving on to Section 3, fraud and racketeering. Now, this lawsuit goes way beyond just broken promises. It actually ventures into some pretty severe, almost criminal-adjacent territory. Let's look at the fraud claims. Musk is suing for both promissory and constructive fraud. Translated from the heavy legal speak, this means Musk is straight up accusing Altman of making big promises about saving humanity that he simply never intended to keep. In fact, the complaint refers to Altman's initial nonprofit pitch as a long con and hot air philanthropy that was designed purely to extract free startup capital from Musk. And then there is the civil RICO claim. RICO stands for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. This is a very heavy-hitting federal law that is usually used to take down organized crime syndicates. In this case, Musk is accusing Altman and Brockman of creating a network, an opaque web of for-profit shell companies to deliberately and systematically drain the nonprofit's valuable intellectual property, its tech, and its personnel right into a for-profit apparatus.
Section 4, the courtroom showdown.
All of these incredibly dense legal filings finally boiled over in April 2026 inside a federal courtroom in Oakland. During his 7th hour of testimony, Musk took the stand and told the court, "I was a fool. I gave them free funding to create a startup." He really framed his fight as a defense of all charities everywhere. He argued that if OpenAI wins this case, it's going to establish a precedent that gives corporate America a license to loot charities and basically destroy the whole foundation of charitable giving in the country.
But as you'd expect, OpenAI's legal team from the firm Battel Lipton immediately fired back. They presented internal emails and meeting notes to try and prove that Musk actually knew about and even suggested the need for a for-profit structure to fund the insanely expensive computing power required for AI. Their primary defense? They claim Musk is simply motivated by jealousy over OpenAI's massive success, and that he just harbors deep regret for walking away back in 2018 when his own attempt to take control of the company failed.
So the jury is basically being presented with two completely opposing realities. On one side, you have Musk's narrative. It's altruism versus greed, it was a massive bait-and-switch operation, and he's on a noble quest to protect charitable trusts. But directly opposed to that is OpenAI's defense. They're saying it's all just jealousy and sour grapes, that Musk actually wanted for-profit control himself, and that this whole lawsuit is nothing but a baseless smear campaign to slow down a rival. And you can imagine, the tension in that courtroom was absolutely palpable. At one point, during a really rapid-fire cross-examination, an audibly frustrated Musk accused OpenAI's lawyer of asking trick questions. Musk even tried to pivot the conversation toward AI doomsday scenarios, warning everyone of a Terminator situation. But Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers swiftly cut him off. She stated, "We are not going to talk much about extinction in this case. They got it? That's enough." She was clearly determined to keep this trial strictly focused on corporate law, not sci-fi philosophy. Which leads us to Section 5, long odds and lasting impact. With the trial focused squarely on the nitty-gritty of corporate law, what are the actual chances of Elon Musk winning this thing? While legal scholars are quick to point out that he is facing a seriously uphill battle. Professor Eric Talley from Columbia Law noted there's not even an obvious way in which Elon Musk was in contract. Because the founding agreements rely so heavily on informal text messages and emails rather than a traditional contract, and because courts usually defer to business decisions, experts at institutions like Duke Law say Musk faces incredibly long odds in his request to force OpenAI to open source its models. But if he does somehow win, the stakes are absolutely astronomical. The potential outcomes here range from the simple return of Musk's $44 million donation to a jaw-dropping $134 billion in damages being redirected back to OpenAI's nonprofit arm. Musk is also seeking a total reversal of OpenAI's for-profit shift. And honestly, even if he doesn't get that injunction, this highly public trial is already massively complicating OpenAI's plans for a $1 trillion IPO later this year. Ultimately, beneath all the breach of contract claims, the fraud allegations, and the bitter courtroom drama between billionaires, this explainer really highlights a profound question for our era. Who ultimately gets to control the intelligence that might completely reshape humanity? Is it going to be open to the public, or is it going to be hidden away behind the closed doors of a corporate giant? Well, thank you so much for joining me today to break down this incredible story. Please like the video, share, and subscribe to the channel for such video.